Hello everyone! In today's video, I would like to talk about how to make your academic English better, how to enhance your academic English, and how to actually learn to write and to consume materials, content in academic English. Hello everyone, I'm Lenka. I'm first graduate from University of Glasgow. Yes, I finally got my certificate, my diploma. Today I would like to share with you my personal experience on how to overcome the difficulties to consume, to write, produce texts, essays and make presentations in academic English, which is necessary if you're going to study at the university or if you're going to conduct a research. So before we continue, you might be asking, so what exactly is this academic English and what is the difference between just regular English and academic English? Academic English is especially used at universities or some academically oriented institutions. The style is seldom used in daily ordinary situations. So the academic English is something we are not using between friends. It's rather what we use when we're writing papers, make presentations, and writing our master, bachelor thesis, and so on. The style of academic English is way more formal, less personal, more evidence-based, is way more structured, it's precise, and it's less opinionated. What I mean by that's you're not going to share what you think necessarily about the situation or about the topic. You're going to evaluate the different points of view and you're going to somehow stand out of the topic itself. So as you see, this is quite different than what we do in daily life, where we actually firstly share our opinion and then the opinion of others. Honestly, academic English was not my most favorite subject at the university. I found it quite boring. But it was something every student have to go through if they want to graduate, because as I said, with few exceptions, like some practically oriented universities, you really need to finish and end up the program with some paper work, whether it's master thesis or whatever you're going to have to do. And academic English is something what you need to use in your paper. So it's better to learn it sooner and practice it more often than leaving the process of studying academic English for the last semester and then being stressed out that you're not using the proper language you need to for your thesis. I summarized a few tips based on my experience at the multiple universities abroad on how to make your academic English better and also make it, let's say, more fun and more easy. The first tip, and it's the one which is most helpful, it's to take part in some academic English course at your university. I believe that most of the universities offer such courses because, as I said, they need you to finish and end up the program with some papers. So if you have the opportunity, take part, join this course already in your first or second semester. If it's impossible for you to join this, there are a couple of courses online, like for example on Coursera, when you can enhance your vocabulary. Within this academic English course at your university, they will also explain you which citing form, which quotation form and style they require from you, and therefore that's why it's so important to join such a course. And also you will have the opportunity to practice and get feedback immediately, which is one of the other points which is so crucial when doing academic English. You really need to write, you really need to produce content and get instant feedback on it. That's the way how you get better. The second and probably one of the most important tip on how to make your academic English better is reading, and reading a lot. You have to consume a lot of content, and this is something what most of programs actually want anyway, that you consume a lot of data and a lot of content, a lot of books. You have to read multiple books over just a week. Important thing which we were taught at Lund University is that you don't need to understand and read every single word. When I've heard that, I was so relieved. So what do you do instead? you're using the technique called skimming, meaning that you just need to understand the general idea of the text or of the article or of the movie or of the video. You don't need to read every single word. You just need to get idea what the author wanted to express or what is the conclusion. For example, when you're reading an article, important is to get the general idea about who is the author, when was the article published, what is the introduction, what is the conclusion, and then you can just really go quickly over the main body, but you don't need to spend time and your precious energy on reading every single word. Pretty obvious is that for your academic English, you need to have a page perfect grammar. I believe that when you practice, when you're writing and you are getting feedback from your professors or from your peers, then your grammar can get better. No one is perfect, I want to make it clear, no one is perfect, but especially for the academic English, when you're going to publish something, you need to have at least solid knowledge about the language. Anyway, if you're going to publish something, there is always going to be someone who is going to proofread it for you, so don't worry that much, but make sure that you're getting better every day. Also, try to understand how work the active and passive sentences. Sometimes we tend to use the passive sentences more, sometimes they are more accurate and they sound less personal. I also tend to using passive sentences very often, but sometimes those sentences sound very clunky. Let's say, I will give you example. If I say a sentence that the boy threw the ball, the same thing would sound in the passive sentence, the ball was thrown by the boy. And the distinction is that it lowered the readability of the text. So make sure that your paper is readable as much as possible without losing the formal voice. And now I want to move to a part which is not necessarily connected to writing the words itself, but it's about the mentality of having the academic English and producing the academic content, where you need to think critically. And this is actually the fun part, I would say. This is the most funny part when it comes to the academic English. As you can be the judge, let's say. You have to collect probably few materials, and you have to evaluate what the authors wanted to say, what they wanted to express, what was the background, what was their political orientation, and you need to really critically assess what all the materials say and how they reflect, for example, the past or the future or the present. And really, I actually really like this part, and the good universities will require you to do so. And the academic world is really based on the evidence, and you always have to be sure that if you're going to critically assess something, you need to support it, back up it with some data, and also make sure that the data you're using are valid, that you're not using blogs or a Facebook post. Usually you need to work with the academic papers themselves, depends on the kind of research you're doing. So this comes also to a point where you need to question everything, really question everything. Is it valid? Is this even credible because of the circumstances the reader was writing such paper? It really depends on many conditions about who your reader is. It's rather better to don't believe anything and like search for the supporting arguments than to believe something without questioning it. Last tip I have, and what has helped me to get a little bit better and fluent in my English, was not only writing essays and getting the feedback, but also journal in English and trying to incorporate those words in your diary. Sometimes it sounds funny, but it's something what has helped me, especially in the early phases when I was getting familiar with English, to use it as often as possible. And writing your diary, it should be, in my opinion, one of the must in your life, by the way, in your ritual. And writing a diary is something where you can incorporate using English, even though it's not going to be academic English, but it's going to help you to write and write and write, because this is something whether you like it or not, this is something what you have to do when you're in academic world. You need to write, read and write, read and write, read and write.
Again, again, and again.
I'm really happy that you're here with me. Let me know if this was helpful and see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.